How to make a projectile. Create a new game object and attach a projectile component. Add a child object and attach a mesh to it, so that we can see the projectile. Rotate and scale the mesh as necessary. You can also set a glowing color. In the projectile settings, we can configure how fast it should fly, how long it should live in case it doesn't hit anything, and what objects it should collide with. Now when you simulate the scene, your projectile will already fly away and disappear when it hits objects. This is a good time to turn your projectile into a prefab. And now we can replace our single projectile with a spawn component to shoot many projectiles. Now we want to configure what exactly happens on impact. The interactions list of the projectile component defines what happens when a bullet hits a certain type of surface. Surface assets describe how something should physically behave. Let's add two interaction types, one for the default surface and one for wood. We set the default one to attach and wood to bounce. As you can see, the projectiles now behave differently when they hit the wooden crates or the metallic barrels. The barrels actually use the metal surface. However, when we look into the metal surface asset, we see that it uses the default surface as its base surface. That is why the interaction with the default surface type is the closest match. The wood surface asset also uses the default surface as its base surface, but since our bullet has a dedicated interaction type for wood surfaces, this entry is the better match. Finally, we want to spawn an effect when our bullet hits something. However, which effect to spawn is material dependent. That's why the projectile component only defines what kind of interaction to use, and the surfaces then define what prefabs to spawn. This sample project already has interactions set up, so we choose the bullet impact interaction here. When we look at our surfaces, we can see that the default surface has an entry for the bullet impact interaction. However, the metal surface and the wood surface also have entries for this interaction, which override the default behavior. So now when we run the game, we see that the projectile spawns sparks when it hits metal, splinters when it hits wood, and dust in all other cases. Finally, we can give our projectiles a bit of a punch.